All right, people, I'm back. So let's begin with the story. So I'm trying to debate: do I want to start with Charles Hathcock, or do I want to start with everything we had? So we're going to start with Charles Hathcock because I want to, and I've been reading it. But like I said in the first video, make sure you hit the subscribe, like, and comment, and make sure you hit the notifications. If you really like my videos, go onto my channel and hit the subscribe, and refresh that sucker until I get a lot of subscribers. All right, or even share it with your friends. So let's get to the story. She attempted to set down her load, but just as she began to squat, the soldier struck her head on, and woman tumbled backwards. Anyways, let's get from that. The weapons platoon retook possession of the M25 50 caliber machine gun, and that had served as Carlos Hathcock's sniper weapon during his stay on the Duckfowl hilltop. Hathcock fastened the long internal scope back on his sniper rifle. A match-condition 30 to 60 Springfield caliber Model 70 Winchester, anchored at the receiver with his precisely torqued screws that had held it in a glass-bedded Monte Carlo-style stock. Above, with a finely tuned barrel, floated less than the width of the dollar bill, allowing the barrel to flex freely when he fired the rifle. He again zeroed the weapon for 700 yards. With his NVA pack strapped snugly to his back and his rifle shouldered, Carlos Hathcock waited in the landing zone for the helicopter that would take him back to Hill 55, his base of operation. He liked Hill 55 because it overlooked miles of Viet Cong-controlled countryside. Hotspots like Elephant Valley to the north and to the south of Antana Valley. East of Hill 55 was the friendly strongholds of the Marble Mountain Da Nang, but to the west lay the Badlands known as Charlie Ridge and Happy Valley. Hathcock felt glad to be getting back on his old hunting grounds. North Vietnamese, this is a little fact, North Vietnamese Army pack. It held a large cargo compartment and many pouches and pockets ideal for snipers. Basically, it held like ammunition, it held like cleaners for the sights and everything like that. So then when he needed to clean it, then he could just pull it out of the pouches and then clean it. Charlie Roberts stood next to him and nudged. Looks like our frog. He pointed toward the twin-rotor helicopter that had just cleared the horizon along the northwest coastline and now raced toward them, skimming the treetops. Hathcock said nothing to Roberts. It was a typical of their relationship. They had never gotten along. Hathcock politely endured the staff sergeant while suppressing his often felt frustration with the senior Marine. As he waited, Hathcock recalled the first day in Duckfowl, and how Roberts had stood atop the rocks surrounding the sniper position, admiring the breathtaking view, and drew a hail of enemy fire. A senior NCO in the battalion had yanked Roberts off the rocks, and just as the shooting began, and then questioned the reliability of both the Marines. That insult had deeply wounded Hathcock's pride from that day forward. The rift between the two men grew. Hathcock did his thing, and Roberts did his, mostly watching. Hathcock smiled and took off his bush hat, holding his white feathers secure in the hatband with his thumb. More than 7 years before, a warm spring day in 1959, Carlos Hathcock had stood in the Marine recruiter's office in Little Rock, Arkansas, and watched his mother sign the papers giving him a permission to join the Marine Corps. It was May 20th, the day of his 17th birthday. He was fulfilling what for him was already an old dream. The afternoon he got a plane bound for San Diego, where he would have 13 weeks at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, and which to prove himself man enough to join the United States' most elite society of warriors. Carlos stood 5 feet 10 inches and tall and weighed 140 pounds. Although slight in build, he could run all day and lift a load equal to his weight over his head and develop this strength. This strength after dropping out of high school at age 15, going to work for a Little Rock concrete contractor, shoveling cement 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Boot camp wasn't going to be any picnic, but Carlos had the physical stamina to withstand the long punishing days and nights. As for the mental pressure, he would handle them with the strong self-discipline that he had developed at the early age when he was forced to shoulder the responsibility of his family. Hathcock arrived at MCRD San Diego, sitting in the brown plastic-covered seat inside a dull gray bus with the U.S. Navy stenciled on the side. He had approximately 30 other recruits and had ridden it with Landberg Field to the recruit depot. And several of the young men talked loudly and smoked cigarettes, although the chubby, blonde-haired Marine private who drove his bus had warned them that wasn't the best way to start the military careers. It was 11 o'clock of a warm West Coast evening. The bus came to a halt, and the Marine sergeant, wearing his tan uniform with the creases too sharp that stood out on the half-inch chest, stepped briskly aboard. The sergeant wore a black spit-shine shoes, which glistened like patent leather, and a brown beaver felt campaign hat with a wide flat brim. Centered on the hat was a coal-black Marine Corps emblem. The Marine walked directly to where one of the cockiest recruits was sitting. During the ride, the airport, this loud-talking fellow boasted how tough his St. Louis gang had been. The young man wore his long and thick black hair heavily oiled and combed back in a ducktail. He had sported a pack of Camels rolled in his sleeve with a black t-shirt. Smoking cigarette dangled from one of the corner of his mouth. Without a word, the Marine drill instructor plucked a cigarette from the recruit's lips, dropped it on the black rubber mat that ran down the side of the aisle of the bus, and crushed it out with a single twist of his toe. A half a dozen other lit cigarettes suddenly dropped to the floor in silence as the broad-shouldered sergeant gazed toward the rear of the bus with his stern dark eyes almost hidden under the brim of his hat. Hathcock was in awe. "This is it," he said loudly. The Marine looked at him, and Hathcock was just about to rise to his feet when they caught the drill instructor's cold stare. Ladies, you too, sweetheart," he said in a loud voice, and looked directly at Hathcock. "You will not utter a word from this moment on unless you are addressed by your drill instructor. When that occurs, the first word out of your mouth will be 'sir.'" The D.I. growled emphatically and pausing for effect. "And that last word out of your mouth will be 'sir.' Is that clear?" Only silence followed. "When you are addressed by a drill instructor, ask questions, you will respond with 'sir,' followed by the appropriate answer, and finish with 'sir.' Is that clear?" Again the fearful silence met the D.I.'s ears. He looked at Hathcock. "Private," Hathcock swallowed and answered in low Arkansas drawl, "Yes, sir." "What did I just say?" Hathcock felt blood rushing through his face, and he rose to his feet and mumbled, "Sir, you ain't supposed to say nothing." The Marine cut him off in the mid-sentence. You boy, do you Know what a ewe is? What a ewe is? The female. That's a female sheep. Your country boy ain't a country boy, ain't ya? You ought to be known that country boys does to them female sheep. That's fucked. They fuck 'em, don't they, boy? You want to fuck me? Sir, no, sir. Hathcock quickly responded. Sit down, boy. The drill instructor barked. Sir, yes, sir. Hathcock sat gladly shrinking to his seat. I can't hear you, boy. Hathcock responded loudly. Sir, yes, sir. Okay, ass eyes. The granite-faced sergeant said angrily. When you answer me, you are on your feet in your position of attention. Your asshole better puckered. Your ears better pop. If they don't, you ain't answering loud enough. You got that? Hathcock leaped to his feet and arching his back, jumped in his chin, straightened up and screamed with his eyes squeezed tightly and shut and set and bulging in his neck. Sir, yes, sir. Marine started to walk down the aisle. Ladies, any time a instructor has asked you as a group, you will answer as a group. You will answer properly and loudly. If you fail as a group, you will pay for your sins as a group. Is that clear? The 30 young men chimed together as assholes puckering and ears popping, saying, Sir, yes, sir, very good. Anyways, people, I'm going to have to do a second video. Third video. Be right back.